Now I'm going to bring to the stage Matt Van Houten, SVP of Advertising at DirecTV. So, I mean, I think everybody knows what an SVP of ad sales does. But do me a favor, give me a point of view on what Matt does on a regular basis at DirecTV. I think it's ultimately the company's really shifted its focus in the last 36 months from traditional MVPD to streaming MVPD, and to a whole new set of products that you're out there in the marketplace with. So what does that look like for you? And how are you dealing differently today with the clients than you might have in the past?
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. Happy to give you a little intro about me and what we're doing. So I've been with the company now almost 13 years. So, certainly at
Wow.
DirecTV,
Holy shit.
but have been a part of, I'd say, AT&T and all the machinations that AT&T has had from their 2015 acquisition of DirecTV to the acquisition they had with the NVIDIA ad server, the work they did to acquire AppNexus, which we renamed Xandr, and then obviously the acquisition, $85 billion for Warner Brothers Discovery. I've been kind of connected to all of those businesses, Evan, a part of AT&T as kind of the advanced advertising lead liaison. I don't know, maybe one of the OGs of addressable.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what does that really mean, right? It really means, what I've been doing is really building products over a very long period of time for AT&T that leverages data and technology, right, to provide what you just talked about with Justin, right, performance-based outcomes in advertising, whether it was, TV or streaming or IPTV connected. So I have responsibility for three groups. I'm responsible for the business development functions at DirecTV Advertising, all the deals that are negotiated. You can think carriage deals with programmers from an ads
Oh, really?
perspective. You can think data deals. You can think ad technology vendors, system vendors that we use to power the business. So focused on business development. I'm focused on product development. So, we are obviously building a lot of things in the sandbox, pushing them out into the market. Kind of started as a builder, started as kind of a product development manager, and then have grown from there. Proud to say, Evan, and I know you know this yourself, right? We're won 3 Emmys for some really interesting innovations that we've built, both in television and streaming. I know you're familiar with some of those statues, yourself. The
Yeah,
last,
I have a background where you would see one back there.
yeah, I would love to see. And then the last group is really operations, sales operations, right? And so when you're running a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar ad sales organization, a lot of systems a lot of processes. You got sales teams that are covering the country, and being able to respond to them and the orders that they're looking to take and do that in the more automated fashion is kind of day-to-day operations. So those are the three groups that I oversee. And I think to your point, there's been a huge investment and focus in the digital transformation. We've seen some of the secular declines in linear, some of the cord cutting, some of the cord shaving. We just want to make sure that we bring our kind of best-in-class video product to our customers kind of wherever they are. Couple ways I help advance that too. I sit on the board of Go Addressable, which I know, Evan, you've spoken at in the
Yep.
past, and it's a nonprofit trade association made up of several MVPDs and programmers that are looking to bring audience-based advertising mainstream. How do we help the ecosystem, right, deliver ads, and deliver ads that have a profound business impact? And then the other board I sit on is NVIDIA Technologies, which is an international ad server, both linear and digital, but really all in and around this world of addressability. The last thing I'd say is, like you, I've been a professor, in my case, over 13 years at CUNY Baruch College. And it's been super, super rewarding, but I know you're quite the academic yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, what's impressive is the amount of product knowledge. I mean, I know a lot of folks in the ad sales world, and I don't know that many, if any, have the same kind of under the hood knowledge of the product that they're out there selling right now, and the physical product. I don't mean the content product. And the construct of television in its current state. Like you said, you've been riding along all these mergers and acquisitions, and I won't ask you about the newest one in this space, but the key here is you've watched this product, go from kind of very traditional MVPD to a hybrid to now what is this, very digital first product. I was on stage with your head of product at Adweek, New York, and we talked about the interface and its best in classness. And we did a piece of research this fall where we saw how much daily usage MVPDs get versus SVOD and FAST. And what we saw was, the MVPDs writ large get about 50% of their users use the product every day, but closer to 70% of users use DirecTV stream and DirecTV products on a daily basis. And I think a lot of that has to do with how good the product works. It's easier, it's much more searchable. It's a smooth product in a very clunky ecosystem for the most part. And I want to pivot here to a new product that you're launching, something that I've been begging the industry to do for now a couple of years, which is bring FAST off of its island, in the ocean of content. And what we found in our research was that FAST users use that product daily, like 27%, less than a third of FAST users use FAST on a daily basis. And part of that is off on an island unto itself. It's not part of the main TV ecosystem. And you're tomorrow, I think, launching a new FAST product inside the DirecTV product. Can you talk about that and why and what's it called, why and how it's going to work, frankly?
Yeah, absolutely. And credit to you, Evan, because you were very early on this FAST train. You were, like you said, years ago, certainly remember you talking about it at length, and quite frankly, piqued our interest, and we've been looking at it and leaning into it to understand how do we want to approach the market. We're not the first, right? There's other FAST providers that are there, 2,000 FAST channels in the space. Yeah. Knowing that we're coming in a little bit later, it has some advantages, right? There's some first mover advantages, but there's also advantages to sit back and see what that engagement looks like. You're absolutely right. So we're launching a new product called My Free DirecTV, and it is, as the name's described, a free service. So totally free ad supported streaming product, really a FAST platform designed to kind of deliver very curated, compelling content. We've got over 70 FAST channels that are launching. You've got some FAST providers out there that got hundreds of channels, right? We really, really focused in on what we consider is the best of the best in terms of that curation. And I think what's maybe different about us, maybe than others, is that we are independent. We are a pure aggregator of content. We don't have a parent company
you don't own
that
any of the
owns
channels.
Intellectual property that's trying to force certain IP or primetime or IP, right? We are truly trying to deliver what our audiences, look at. We know our audiences very well, being around for 25 plus years. But like you've seen, it's just an app-based service available to everyone. It's got entertainment, it's got sports, it's got lifestyle, it's got news content in an environment that's actually the exact same content-forward user interface that we use for our pay TV subscriber experience. And so, Evan, what we really did here is first we started to light up some FAST channels, and we put them behind the paywall. They are available to our customers today that are paid customers. We got various tiers. There's fully loaded 900 channel experience, and we started to give them access to select FAST channels. And we did maybe a dozen, 2 dozen. We started to trial that, and we found, that there was pretty significant engagement. Now, that engagement widely varied by the type of content, whether it was an aggregated FAST channel versus a single series IP channel, for example. We started to get some learnings around how our base kind of interacted in that experience. And what we found now, more mature at 60, 70 plus channels, any one of these FAST channels as a standalone really doesn't have, from a viewership and engagement perspective, a tremendous amount of weight to move a multi-billion-dollar ad sales business one way or the other. But when you aggregate up all of those channels, all of the FAST channels, and if I viewed all of my FAST channels as a single channel, it would be a top 50 performing, Nielsen rated channel. So individually, right, versus in aggregate, a lot of value there. So a lot of things that we've been focused on is, again, how do we kind of create this seamless user experience and interface, introduce new customers for us that can engage in our app, our user interface, our application in our ecosystem, and potentially stay. So, the premise here, Evan, was what many MVPDs have experienced. We've been losing subscribers, right? We're all losing subscribers, unfortunately, and there's these shifts. And so we thought to ourselves, well, wait a minute, we've got such a great platform here. Before that customer that wants to leave is completely churning off, what if we do something like this? What if we say, hey, keep your DirecTV? And by the way, we'll keep sending you a bill every month that's $0. And oh, by the way, here's a login for you where you can continue to log in front of our paywall into our free front porch called My Free DirecTV, so that you can stay as part of the DirecTV family, engage in our content, engage in our user interface. And as you can imagine, there's opportunities for them to come back. So as opposed to, a hard breakup, we're trying to provide opportunities for them to stay engaged with their
Yeah, I
brand. We
mean,
see
if you
a lot of success.
this to me was the great advantage of this welding together of these two experiences, and then you've done it in a seamless fashion where the search produces results for pay stuff and free stuff equally. But the idea that the lifetime value of your consumer should not end when they decide to unsubscribe from the pay TV part of it, that you can keep them around, earn money off of them, but also market to them the pay service so that if they're in the mood to resubscribe, there they are, sitting there. So I think that's a really brilliant aspect of this. And again, I think the interface, the way you blend them together is makes for a much smoother experience for the consumer, which is really what the consumer wants right now. I do want to ask you, you and I talked in prepping for this panel about the ways that you think you can actually help the fast channels who you have. And I think one of the differentiators is you've curated the best of the best, the cream of the crop that are really in keeping with what your key users want based on data that you have of their behaviors. But you also seem to believe that the fast channels, pound for pound, are going to make more money in this ecosystem than they might in others. Why do you think that is? What's going to be differentiated here for a publisher versus some of the other platforms that they might distribute on?
Yeah, well, I think, listen, from a inventory perspective, right, it's a different type of a deal construct, a different economic construct than your traditional media business, which, Evan, as you know, right, for roughly every hour of TV you see, right, there's the 16 minutes of commercials,
Right.
14 minutes going to the content creator, 2 minutes going to the distributor in general. Right? It's been going on for decades and decades and decades, right? In this case, you've got a lot, higher bartering for ad minutes, right? And so those ad loads are looking a lot closer to 50-50 share between the content creator and the distributor, less cash exchange, and much more of a focus on advertising. And so knowing that there's an opportunity to put that content in different hubs within the experience as shoulder content, as in fact some cases primary content, depending on what our viewers are looking to do. And as we build in personalization and recommendations, right, we can surface a studio produced piece of content against a piece of single series IP, one of my favorites, like the Bob Ross channel, for example. And that's something that otherwise would not have been discovered, right? And you're seeing engagement, you're seeing the minutes there. And as an ad sales guy, if you're spending 1 hour on my platform, do I want you spending 1 hour on broadcast? Do I want you spending 1 hour in cable? Or do I want you spending 1 hour in fast? Well, selfishly, I would love for you to spend that full hour in fast, where
Because
I get the highest
you're getting more of
percentage of
the inventory. Yeah,
inventory.
that's exactly right.
Exactly. And so because of that attractive model, I think you're seeing a bigger push to understand how these fast channels are performing. And also, like you and I talked about, when you think about all these paid channels and you think about the exorbitant cost of content to maintain these platforms, to bring customers what they're looking for, and you start to look at that ranking, and you look at kind of the top performing fast channels, and the top performing fast channels have significant engagement. In fact, in many cases, they can be outperforming some of the lower engagement on the paid channels. And so over time, when you think about your genre mix, when you think about general entertainment, news, foreign language, sports, etc., if you can, right, provide your customers with content that they'll engage in and being able to reduce some of those costs long term, it's very attractive, right? Fast is something that certainly we're leaning into. It's just that critical mass of engagement, trying to figure out that right mix of content.
And so you have your pay TV users, you have your fast users, and then you have the users that do both. And you've been as you said, you've been experimenting with fast for some time. So this, even though you're officially launching it tomorrow, you have a decent amount of data from the users of the fast ecosystem that you're distributing. So can you? I think you have a pretty unique perspective. What's the difference between these audiences? What's the difference between your traditional pay TV audience, your fast audience, and then is there a new different audience between the people who kind of hop between the two?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think for us, we feel like launching this product tomorrow is kind of perfectly timed, right? With all this kind of explosive growth that we're seeing in the space. But I think it's just about control. It's about understanding what our customers want. On the traditional DirecTV side, there's kind of two parts to that business. There's the residential piece, and then there's a commercial piece. And you'll see us in bars and restaurants and hotels, and you'll
Right, right,
see us
right.
in hospitals, et
I'm
cetera.
I'm
And
going
there's
to a bar to watch the Eagles play the
love
Command
it. Yeah, there you
tonight.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. I got Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. So,
Oh, there
good
you go.
luck to my fantasy football team tonight.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah, love it. So
Big
that
game.
there's one audience segment there that we certainly know, and we want to monetize and provide relevant advertising to people that are out of the home and on the go. The residential customer that we have are typically, from our perspective, a little bit more higher education, higher income based on the platform. We're not the cheapest platform in the space. We provide a very, what we think is a premium quality curated experience. Our audience is a little bit older, a little bit educated and affluent. Great. But that's where we sit. And so as we've seen, as you just talked about, and you've been talking about over the last, day or two, it's around this shift. And there's been a shift to CTV, and there's been a shift to social, and those ad dollars are moving. And those ad dollars are moving, quite frankly, towards a younger audience. And so us moving into this fast space and providing my free DirecTV gives us an opportunity to introduce our product to a younger audience, which is important, right? You want to reach those classic demos 18 to 49. Well, you don't have a lot of 18-year-olds banging down the door. Let's get a satellite. Let's go like hard with DirecTV, right? We wish they would. We hope that they will, but this gives us different products that we can put in market that can satisfy different audience pockets. We're finding interesting things, Evan, like, for example, on the My Free side, you're getting a lot of MDUs, a lot of multi-dwelling units. So for us, that's apartments, right? You don't see that as much on the satellite video side, right? We're New Yorkers, we understand co-op laws, et cetera. So you're getting younger, you're getting, urban. And so that's been a very nice, I'd say, add to our portfolio. And we're talking to our customers. We've got this reach, and we're able to, attack different segments of the population for the best possible messaging and marketing. It's been rewarding. So we've seen that. We've seen kind of a new audience demographic come in. And again, they have very different viewing behaviors, right? Binge watching versus snacking. We're seeing differences across those demos. And again, just dipping our toes in, early. So we'll have to partner with you on some of the thought leadership that we see as this thing kind of matures in the market.
That would be great. Yeah, and so we have a question here from an anonymous attendee, and I think I can try to answer it for you, and then I want to hear what you think of my explanation, which is what differentiates this fast experience from the rest of the fast experiences out there. And I do feel like it's marriage to traditional MVP, the traditional MVPD experience, which means not everybody, obviously, we have far fewer MVPD subscribers than we did, a decade ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. But those people who do stick around, especially those who have moved to your digital product, these are people who are, they're not just loyal subscribers, because obviously you have to stay subscribed in order to get the product, but they're avid users. If you're subscribing to a pay TV product, you're probably going there at least once a day, if not multiple times every day, in the morning, at night, before you go to bed. First thing you turn on in the morning, last thing you turn on at night. And so the ability to put the free and your free product, your fast product, is popping up the same time you turn on the whole experience, right? So the fact that I'm going there most every day, perhaps multiple times per day, creates just a better drive-in experience for that fast platform than you're going to see in many, many, many other platforms. Is that a fair statement to offer?
It totally is. And I would just reply back to that, and I would say, try it, right? directv.com/myfree.slash directv. Check it out. Totally free. And you can kind of feel it, touch it, see it
That is
yourself.
another part of it. The product is very different from most of the other fast products out there.
I would agree, right? And that's why I would certainly recommend you guys to engage in two reasons. One, right, we've got decades and decades of experience and expertise in really two things: content aggregation and user experience. So we're hoping that as you look at your content aggregation, which has been a pain point, the content rage that we're all feeling, you're probably like me every night. I sit down with my wife, let's watch a show, and it's 25 minutes of like, I checked all the Netflix, I checked all the Paramount Plus. There's nothing really here. Maybe, Tyson and Jake Paul fight, coming up. Maybe, it's hard. And then after 25 minutes, you
I
watch
hope
4 or
Mike
5 trailers.
Tyson.
I'm burnt out. I'm done. I'm like, that was my viewing. I'm out.
Yeah. I don't, I probably will watch at the end of the day. I hope he knocks, Jake Paul's head off. Um,
Me too.
uh, so, there's actually a really good question here. Again, I want to, Matthew Keys, friend of the stream, who asked a question in the last one. He talked about on the Gemini box, he's getting ads when, and this is a product that I think you were very, integral in launching and deploying, the pause ads.
Yep.
Um, are those available on, is that a fast product that you're offering as well, or is that not in the fast that's in fast as well?
Yeah, so pause ads we launched a couple years ago. They are over our streaming product today. They are over our satellite product today. And while they're not in the launch tomorrow, they are coming to my free DirecTV. Really, really excited about that add a stream format. In
And
fact,
that's another way
and
that you're going to earn more money for these publishers than they could possibly, because that's not something that exists on any other platform. But Matthew's question is in particular, how are advertisers responding to those pause ads? Do they
yeah,
is there a lot high recidivism rate with your advertisers on that product?
yeah, great question. And we're super bullish on it. We're excited about it. This was an Emmy award-winning technology for us, last year. Here's what I would say. It's going mainstream, not just us, right? We're in the market,
Right.
but you
People are
see
copying it.
Hulu and YouTube so that's starting to come. If you talk to IAB has announced, right? They're putting some ad innovation standards that they're putting out in the summer, this coming summer. And those standards includes things like pause ads and commerce ads and right? Hero full screen takeovers, etc. So there's absolutely a lot of interest, and specifically in the pause ad. What we're finding with the pause ad is that the recall rates are through the roof. Because how many 30-second ads have you seen in your life? 15, 30, 60s. We are totally tone deaf because we've seen them. But when you these pause ads go up and they're so visually, remember back in the day, Apple Macintosh, and you had
Sure,
like
of
the
course.
toaster all over the screen. I mean, just a Charmin toilet roll as an example, bouncing across the street, 2.5 times more. There's no audio, right? 2.5 times more recall than a standard ad. So because it's such a newer and unique experience, it's really performing. Then you put a QR code on it, and there's a call to action associated with the pause ad. We've been trying to put QR codes in commercials, but as you know, 15 seconds is hard. Pull it out, oh, the commercial's over. But a pause ad, it's so lean back, right? You're taking that action. Why? You got to make a sandwich, you got to walk the dog, your mother called, right? And so you're pausing that moment. But then when you come back, you've got such an engaged audience. So very bullish on pause ads. We've seen sellout rates for pause ads continue to increase, at least on our platform. We've seen pricing actually increase. I don't want to get too much into pricing, but I assumed when we built this and launched it, Evan, we said, you know what? Video ad rates are over here. Display ad rates are over here. We think pause ads will maybe fall somewhere in the center. We'll see what the market says. But to be honest with you, we're seeing a lot of that looking closer to video units. Why? Because you can target, you can measure, you can do attribution reporting. So that format, I'm a big believer in. I think you're going to see more good things to come in the next year or two.
And given your background in product, again, I think that's what makes you unique as an executive in the marketplace is that you're yes, you're on the sales side, yes, you're on the biz dev side, but you're so tied into the product itself in a way that very few of people in the sales orgs of platforms and publishers are. What do you, so give me a perspective on new products that you see coming to marketplace. I mean, this pause ad, to your point, I think it's probably one of the most inventive. It's one of the only true innovations that's really come to television in the last number of years. I talked about innovation stagnation, that there has been actually precious little innovation coming to TV since the invention or the deployment of the connected television. What are you working on that really excites you from an innovation standpoint, moving forward?
Yeah, I think the big thing with TV and digital, right? They're bought very differently, they're measured differently, they're reported differently. But I think that's starting to change, right? We're seeing that kind of break even and inflection point. We saw it with ad spend, right? Linear ad spend, digital ad spend, 65 billion, 70, whatever that number is, right? Digital is starting to really push through. So what does that mean? A lot of the stuff we're thinking about on TV is how do we turn TV, how do we make TV more like digital? How do we take linear television and look at it more from an impression basis and a performance basis, which in the past it wasn't necessarily the primary driver. And so once everything has a common denominator of impressions, you have an opportunity to package and bundle and extend your audiences and manage reach and frequency across platforms. That continues to be kind of a big focus. I think the cracking the code on TV, Evan, if I had to prognosticate a little bit, is really bringing true programmatic to television. I think that's something that is, in my opinion, somewhat inevitable, as that buying motion is so prevalent on digital. How do you bring that to TV, right? We know, I don't know when the upfront model, changes, or if it changes. Certainly, there's a lot of, volatility in those negotiations every year. But I think you're going to see, again, linear will continue to look like digital, because you can't be selling two separate islands. Very challenging to manage the cost profile and the systems with two platforms, right? And so as you get to more of a converged view, we talk a lot about convergence. It's really real, right? Your ability to serve those audiences that are watching on the 10-foot lean back couch, on their mobile phone, on their laptop, in the home, on the go, tying that all together more important than ever. So it's no longer just, oh, hey, TV, get my TV GRPs, right? It's around, okay, what does my total audience impression count look like? How can that be delivered? And then what business outcomes are going to get delivered? So that's hard, Evan, right? That's hard, and why it hasn't moved on TV, because you're talking about a lot of legacy ad technology infrastructure. It's very expensive, very hard to rip out. But the TV industry at large is getting to the point where they've got to kind of look at themselves in the mirror and say, all right, in order for me to maintain where I need my business to be in television, investments have to be made. And we saw it. We saw it more recently with the political, season that just ended. We saw a lot of TV money. A lot of people expected a lot of TV advertising. And while total political advertising was higher, TV advertising was down since the last election. And you saw a lot of that money shifted to social, shifted to CTV. I think a little bit of a wake-up call for the TV industry, to your point, time to invest. And what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, I really have to compliment your company on being nimble. For a traditional television company to be as transformative to itself as it has been has been very interesting. And you talked about, your path there over the last number of years. With the last minute we have left, Matt, how do you continue to wake up excited every day during what has been a very tumultuous number of years over the last couple of years, just as a lesson for the rest of us in the ecosystem who are living through the tumult at every company, right? It's across the whole ecosystem now. How do you approach, both as an individual who has to go into work and change is constant and not always in a positive way, but also as a manager? How do you keep people engaged, excited, moving forward in a world that seems to be on fire all the time?
Yeah, it's hard, especially with you have a sales organization, and you've got ad targets, and some of that's within your control. Some of the marketplace is outside of your control, right? From a macro dynamics and perspective. And you saw that last year, Evan. You talked about it, right? When you had the auto strike and you had the writer's strike, right, impacting kind of the livelihoods. My view, listen, I'm a capitalist pig. I want to win. I want to make as much money as possible. And so for me, I'm not precious on one singular idea. I look at a lot of ideas. I got a lot of thought leaders on my team, and we understand and we evaluate each of those. We do inspect and analyze. We do the DMAIC process, and we say, hey, best opportunity wins. Lowest level of effort, highest return. My CFO loves it, right? What can we do to drive this forward? That, and just being intellectually curious, that being in the press, reading your articles, reading your thought leadership in the space, really trying to connect the dots of where is this going to go? And does it make sense? If everybody's going, zigging, should I zag, or do I think I can zig better? That's what we're thinking about that for every area of the business. But my whole life, from an advertising executive, is really just one big game of yield management. That's really my focus, right? How do I bring various demand channels in? National demand, local demand, programmatic demand, small and medium-sized business demand, out-of-home demand. There's so many marketing dollars
And
out
I
there.
will, I will, I'm gonna, so for a capitalist pig, you are a real positive force of energy for change in the industry. This has been true every time we've ever had a conversation. Yes, you are focused on yield management, and I'm sure your CFO and your bosses love you. In fact, I know that they do. But at the same time, I can't imagine that there's an awful day working for you, because the energy is always so positive. There's always an outlook that is forward, not backward. And I just thank you for the positive energy you bring to the ecosystem on a daily basis. It is just very it's very useful, especially as chaos continues. So thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it. We are out of time, but we have to. We'll see each other in Vegas. We'll have drinks in Vegas. Uh,
Awesome. Take care, Evan. Great to
if
see
not
you.
soon.
Thank you so much, Streaming Media Connect. Take care.
Thank you. The winner, congratulations to our winner, Francisco Posada. Yes, it is I Can't Stand the Rain by Booker T and the MGs. Thank you for that. Once again, look for the link to all the videos that are going to be on YouTube for Streaming Media Connect's YouTube page starting next week. And in just about what time is the next panel? It's actually not until 3:30, right?
Oh, no, it's 2:30. 2:30
2:30.
time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So in just about a half an hour, there's a new. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I am actually moderating it. So I'm glad you corrected me there, Steve. So in about a half an hour, about 28 minutes, post-peak TV premium playbook, emerging OTT subscription strategies. We're going to talk about post-peak TV. What does TV look like in a premium environment with our sponsor Delta Tray? But we'll have some great panelists there from Philo and from Hub Entertainment Research as well. See you in about 27 minutes.